Hey friends, I got a question for you. What do you think you have control over in your life? We spend an awful lot of energy trying to control things that are out of our control, or worrying about things that are out of our control, or being upset or stressed about things that are out of our control. And that doesn't necessarily serve us. That doesn't mean that our experience isn't valid. You're allowed to be upset about things that are out of your control. Of course you are. You're allowed to stress about things that are out of your control. That's part of human nature. We like safety and security and predictability and stability. Those things make us feel safe. And so sometimes when something feels really out of our control and it maybe doesn't feel safe, or it might disrupt things, it's understandable to be upset about that, or to spend energy on worrying about that, and to get stressed about it. Of course, that's part of human nature. But wouldn't it be nice if we didn't have to get quite as upset, or we could care for ourselves around that experience, and we could start putting our focus and our energy where our focus and our energy does the most good, where we have control over things. We spend energy trying to control all kinds of things that are completely out of our control. It's one of our favorite pastimes. We try to control other people. We try to get people to do things a certain way or react to us a certain way. We try to make sure tomorrow is going to go the way we want tomorrow to go. We want to make sure we know exactly what's going to happen in the future. We try to control the outcome of something that maybe we are participating in but maybe don't have total control over. We try to control the world around us, and it can be upsetting when we run up against the reality of what we actually have control over, which is actually, of the percentage of things that we experience, maybe about this much do we actually have control over. But when you drill into this much, it actually becomes a lot. And it's very powerful to own what you do have control over. So some of you may be familiar with this, but the two things that we really do have control over are, one, how we view our world, the meaning we choose to give to things, the perspective that we have on things, the framing that we give around things that we're observing and experiencing, and two, how we respond to those things. It's just those two things. But in those two things, in that little chunk of percentage of all the things that we experience, is everything. You can choose to view experiences in a way that serves you. You can choose to frame your reality in a way that serves you. How we view our world is in our control. And then we're in charge of how we respond to the world that we experience, to the things coming at us. And the more conscious we are about our responses, then the more agency we have to show up in a way that is conscious and serves us and serves the people we care about. And there's a lot of power that we have in that. Raising your awareness and being mindful of what triggers you, how you respond to the world around you. The more conscious we are about our reactions to the world, then the more we can shape our reactions into responses, which is one of the things we have control over. So I'm going to continue exploring this more, but one of the powerful things about coaching is it enables people to take a step back and look at what are the default perspectives that they have on their world. How are you viewing your world? And how are you tending to respond to your world in certain circumstances? And then which of those responses are serving you and which responses do you want to start shifting so that you can show up the way you want in a more ideal way in your life, to start creating the reality that you're experiencing, to start going after what you want in a way that feels easier for you or better for you or feels more ideal in general. When we raise our awareness of how we're viewing our world and how we're showing up in our world, oh boy, do we reclaim a lot of power. We have 100% power over making adjustments to that, over how we show up. And then we can start letting go of all of the things that we don't have control over. We can stop spending our energy churning and being stressed and upset about things that were never in our control anyway. We just really wanted them to be, or we were led to believe that those things were in our control. People around us, what happens in the future, changing the past, right? All these things that are actually out of our control. Maybe we were taught that it was safe if we felt like we had control over those things. But really what's driving that is some fear and anxiety about being out of control, about being in danger, about being unsuccessful, about being laughed at or kicked out of the group. These are hardwired tendencies that we have as human beings, but they don't always serve us. So if we can reinforce for ourselves that you'll be okay no matter what happens, that you can start changing the way you're viewing your reality to know that you're going to be okay, then you can start showing up and responding in a way that is maybe less stress-driven or anxiety-driven or driven by trying to have control over things that you don't have control over. And you can take a deep breath in and you can show up with more ease. It starts to become a self-reinforcing experience, because when you can show up in a way that is more easeful and present, or less driven by needing to have control, you start getting different responses from the world around you. And then that reinforces the idea that, oh, I don't need to have control over all these things. I can let go of those things. You start to invite in different experiences for yourself in the interactions that you have with people, or the things that you do, and the way the world, the universe responds to you and how you show up. When you start showing up differently, the universe starts responding differently. We teach the universe what our needs are and how we show up and what are the rules of our world. And so letting go of control of things you don't have control over is one of the ways of teaching the universe that you're not a person who needs to have control over things you don't have control over. You're perfectly empowered and content and in charge of your own situation. And then that invites in a different experience from the universe as you go. We'll talk more about that. But I just wanted to throw this idea out there. What do you actually have control over? And boy, wouldn't it be nice to stop being so stressed and upset about things you don't have control over. That's a choice you get to make. It takes practice, but you can let go of trying to have control over all these things that you don't have control over. And you can feel more empowerment and ease and confidence even by owning what you do have control over.